the world woke up to a stunning headline. Chinese Coast Guard rams Filipino fishing boat near Scarborough Shoal. In the early hours, a Chinese vessel slammed into the FB Maria, a small Filipino fishing boat. The scene unfolded just 120 nautical miles off Luzon, right inside the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. Fishermen screamed as steel scraped wood, chaos echoing across the waves. As the sun rose, news spread quickly. Video footage showed the Filipino boat spinning out of control, hull splintered, nets tossed overboard. Several crew members were thrown to the deck, battered and bleeding. The Chinese ship circled menacingly, its loudspeaker blaring warnings in Mandarin. The FB Maria's radio crackled with static. Then a chilling SOS. It was a moment that shocked the world. Scarborough Shoal has always been tense, but never before had violence erupted so suddenly, leaving ordinary fishermen in grave danger. Families back in Zambales watched the news in horror, fearing the worst for their loved ones. The crisis at sea set off alarms in Manila and far beyond. In minutes, the collision became headline news in capitals from Washington to Tokyo. The world demanded answers and action. Panic reigned inside the FB Maria as water gushed through a gash in the hull, diesel fumes mixing with salt spray. Captain Ernesto, bleeding, grabbed the radio. "Mayday! Mayday! We've been rammed by the Chinese Coast Guard near Scarborough Shoal. Crew injured, taking on water." The crew scrambled to plug the hole with makeshift tools as the sea tossed the boat. The Chinese ship's spotlight swept the deck, shadowing them through the night. Fear thickened the air as the fishermen sent out desperate distress signals, clinging to hope for rescue. The distress call hit the Philippine Coast Guard headquarters like a lightning bolt. Admiral Ronnie Cruz, Chief of Operations, sounded the alarm. "Scramble rescue teams! Mobilize all available assets!" he ordered. Helicopters, patrol boats, and medical teams readied to launch from Subic Bay. Time was critical. The Coast Guard's fastest cutter, BRP Malabrigo, roared out of port. Its crew braced for a dangerous encounter, knowing Chinese ships might block their way. "We are prepared for anything," said Lieutenant Reyes, commanding officer of the cutter. "Our priority is to save our fishermen." Back in Manila, President Matabag called an emergency meeting. The Foreign Secretary summoned China's ambassador, demanding an explanation. "We will not abandon our people," the president declared on national television. The message was clear. The Philippines would act boldly to protect its citizens. On social media, Filipinos rallied in support. Hashtags like "Stand with our fishermen" and "Defend West Philippine Sea" trended nationwide. The nation's resolve was clear. As the rescue flotilla sped toward Scarborough Shoal, the eyes of the world turned to see what would happen next. With every passing minute, the stakes climbed higher. The rescue would soon become an international flashpoint. As Philippine rescue teams advanced, a call for help reached the U.S. Embassy in Manila. Within an hour, the White House and Pentagon were briefed. The Mutual Defense Treaty was clear. An attack on Philippine vessels could trigger U.S. intervention. The USS Mobile Bay steamed at full speed from Palawan. U.S. and Philippine forces patrolled together, ready to rescue the fishermen. Their unified presence sent a powerful message to the world. The air above Scarborough Shoal hummed with activity. U.S. and Philippine planes circled in tight formation, engines roaring. On the surface, ships from both navies formed a defensive wall around the battered FB Maria. Chinese Coast Guard vessels loomed nearby but kept their distance. The joint patrol moved with precision, holding their ground for hours. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, the Chinese vessels slowly retreated. The fishermen had new guardians. The message was clear. Further harassment would meet united resistance. With the area secured, the rescue operation began in earnest. U.S. Navy divers plunged into the sea, braving choppy waves to patch the FB Maria's hull. Medics stabilized the wounded, working side by side with their Filipino counterparts. "They saved my life," said Ramon, one of the crew, tears streaming down his face. "I thought we were lost." Within hours, all fishermen were accounted for. Some were lifted by helicopter to the USS Mobile Bay for urgent care. Others stayed aboard the repaired FB Maria as it was escorted back to safer waters. The joint effort was seamless, Filipino and American sailors working hand in hand to save lives. The sight of the rescued crew waving from the deck was beamed across the world. Back in Zambales, families wept with relief. The Philippines flag fluttered alongside the U.S. banner, a symbol of hope and solidarity in dangerous times. As dusk settled over Scarborough Shoal, tensions eased. The joint patrol maintained its watch, making sure no further threats emerged. The waters were calm, but the region had been changed. News of the rescue and confrontation sparked an international firestorm. The United States condemned the Chinese action in the strongest terms. We stand firmly with the Philippines and our allies in defense of international law, declared Secretary of State Linda Campbell. Japan, Australia, Canada, the UK, and the European Union quickly echoed the condemnation. Ambassadors from Tokyo and Canberra visited Manila, pledging support. "An attack on one is an attack on all," said the Japanese envoy. Social media exploded with calls for unity, while lawmakers in allied countries demanded tougher sanctions on Beijing. China, for its part, denied wrongdoing. The foreign ministry claimed the Filipino boat had illegally intruded and accused the U.S. of escalating tensions. State media broadcast footage of Chinese ships safeguarding sovereignty, but global opinion was not swayed. The diplomatic battle raged in New York, Geneva, and at Asian summits. The world saw the risks of unchecked aggression and the strength of allied resolve. The stakes for peace and stability had never been higher. The South China Sea crisis had become a defining moment for the international community. The Scarborough Shoal incident was more than a single flashpoint. It exposed the growing dangers in the South China Sea and the power of alliances to push back. Joint drills, intelligence sharing, and rapid response had made the rescue possible. The U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty proved its worth in real time. Japan's growing role stood out. Tokyo quickly deployed maritime patrol aircraft to the region, sharing radar and satellite data with U.S. and Philippine forces. Japanese destroyers joined training exercises off Palawan. "Our security is linked," said Admiral Saito of the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force. "We will do our part." Australia, Canada, and the UK sent signals too, offering ships and surveillance support. Europe's interest grew, with the EU calling for freedom of navigation and respect for international law. The Quad, US, Japan, India, Australia, warned against coercion and destabilization. Together, these moves sent a clear message. The region would not stand alone. The web of cooperation had grown stronger, ready to meet new challenges. The crisis at Scarborough Shoal changed the balance of the Indo-Pacific. The US and its allies showed that unity could hold back intimidation. Joint patrols became routine, bringing stability to contested waters. The Philippines upgraded its bases, while US and Japanese forces expanded their presence. For many Filipinos, the rescue was a turning point. Trust in the alliance soared. New agreements followed, covering disaster response, maritime security, and intelligence sharing. Training increased, with Filipino sailors learning from American and Japanese counterparts. China watched these developments with concern, but the Allies pressed on, insisting on freedom of navigation and respect for the rule of law. "We are stronger together," said President Matibag. "Our fishermen and our future depend on it." The South China Sea remained tense, but the partnership forged in crisis gave new hope for peace and security.